Hi, Amy of Fashion Toppings here with a quick jean alteration refashion video. Now I got a pair of jeans, and you'll recognize them from one of my thrift hauls, but I love the way they fit, but these suckers are so long, they come under my heel and under the arch of my foot, so I'm gonna hem them, and I'm just gonna take an inch or so off the width of the leg. But so I'm set when it comes to skinny jeans, but I do want to narrow the legs on these just to give a more flattering silhouette. And it's a quick and easy process. So I'm going to go and show you these jeans. I took pictures of them, but now these are black. I don't know if you can see it, but the stitching is red. Look at that. It's like a red stitching. That is going to be a problem when it comes to hemming. I'm going to do my bottom hem using a denim thread, but I'm going to use black or dark blue. Even though it's not going to match this, I don't think you'll notice since it's just along the bottom. So I'm going to be doing that. And let's see. And these jeans are going to be really easy to make narrow as far as from the knees on down because the inside crotch, I'm not sure, the inside crotch has what's called a flat felled seam. And that's something you want to look at when you are thinking about altering jeans. Check out what kind of seam they have. Now you'll see there's no top stitching. The top stitching stops right here and it's just decorative. But I know they're black, but the rest of the way down there's no top stitching. It's just a regular seam. But if you look on the inside of the leg, I don't know if you can see it or not, there is a wide seam that goes all the way inside your leg and it's double stitched. It's double top stitched. That's called the flat felled seam. That seam is a lot harder to deal with, especially if you're really trying to make skinny jeans. It's a lot harder to deal with if you take that out because once you cut out that flat felled seam, you got to take it all the way out. Otherwise, it's not going to match. So pay attention. Make sure that at least the inside or the outside of your legs, usually it's the outside, just has a regular seam with no top stitching. And then it's easier to take in. So, okay, I'm going to go ahead and take these pants off and I'm going to turn them inside out. Okay, now I have the jeans inside out. So the next thing we need to do, I'm going to bring the camera down. Okay. Get my pins. You only need to do this to one leg because we're going to measure how much we take in on one leg and we'll do it to the other when it's laying flat. So let's start right here at my knee. Kind of pull it out and pin. This is just to give us a guideline because we will take these pins out, lay the jeans down flat, and use a ruler so that it is more accurate. Because if you pin, I see a lot of tutorials where they pin and then they take it straight to the sewing machine. But when you're standing up, bending over, things shift and change, and you'll get some puckering, some puckers here and here and here. When you get that puckering, it makes it difficult for your sewing line, we take it to the sewing machine, to have a professional looking seam. So we're just getting a guideline. I just want to see how much I want to take off. Okay. So I'm taking about an inch off of each. I'm going to be taking an inch off of each side. And I'm going to take a pin. When you feel your knee, you know you have that little bump right here. See, you have that bump right there. Most people do. Where your kneecap is in the front right here. But you usually have this little bump on the inside of your knee. I am going to put a pin so it's actually right at the bottom of my kneecap. I'm putting a pin straight across. That way when I take the pants off, I know where my knee starts. So I'm putting it right at the bottom of my kneecap. Okay, so I'm going to take these off and I'll show you the next step. Okay, now what we're going to do is I've laid it out nice and flat, making sure I'm not so worried about this side. I'm worried about this side. I'm making sure it's laying out nice and flat, and I'm going to have to measure. Okay, turn this around. I'm going to have to measure how far my pins are in. Now you go based on not your serged edge. Because your skin never touches the serged edge. Your skin and the part that's actually closed on the leg is this, see the seam right here? Right down there. That's the seam you're going to measure from, not the serged edge, this seam. So I'm just going to go in an inch. so then I know I have an inch to go in. So, and up by the knee, let's measure that. Okay, how far am I going in? Okay, and up at my knee, you'll see the seam here is at my 1/2 inch mark. So I got to remember those 2 marks. Okay, so we're going to go 1 inch down the leg and 1/2 inch at the knee. So this is what we're going to do next. Okay, now I'm going to lay a ruler across it. I matched up my crotch, see, right there, matched it up so it's nice and straight so my legs are even. And right where my knee's at, I'm going to go over and I made a white line to mark the knee on the other leg so that my legs will be the same. Okay. Now, where's my pen? I'm going to do the same markings I did on this side. I'm going to do the same markings over there. Okay, I went ahead and put my pin. There's my pin at the 1/2 inch mark. And then you'll see I have 2 pins above it. That is just to show me a gradual, how I'm going to sew gradually back into the original seam. See how it gradually comes out and then goes to the 1/2 inch? I did that just as a guideline so that I could start, I'll be sewing from here and then coming out to that 1/2 inch mark. Now I'm going to go down towards the bottom of my leg and I'm going to measure in. Remember that was 1 inch from that little seam line here. I'm going to measure in 1 inch and place a pin. Okay, so now I have my pin 1 inch from my side seam, not the serged edge, the inside, the other stitch line. And then I have my one up here that's a 1/2 inch. I know where my knee's at, so a 1/2 inch, 1 inch, and then I did one more at 1 inch from the seam on this side. Next thing we're going to want to take is we're going to take our ruler and we're going to connect all the pins and draw a line. So I'm going to connect all the pins. So I'm going to take my chalk and I'm going to follow that line, pin, and I'm just going to make a gradual, nice straight line. I'm going to chalk that line in. So the next thing I'm going to do, and I'll be right back. Okay, I've got my white line, as you can see the white line going through each. I turn my pin sideways so they're ready to sew. And see, now right here is where you want to pay attention. Okay, where's my knee at? There's my knee right there. See how I'm starting to, there's my 1/2 inch pin. That pin is a 1/2 inch from the edge. See how it's gradually tapering back into the original side seam. That's important to make it a nice smooth transition. And you can use your ruler and just lay your ruler up against it and just trace a line. So I'll have a nice gradual transition right back into that seam line. See that? And then there's my knee right there. It's important to always know where your knee's at. So I got my lines marked and I'm going to tackle the hem last. Okay, so now that I've done this, I need to repeat the same process onto my other leg, which I already have pinned. I just need to take my chalk line, turn my pin sideways so I'll be able to, so they're easier to take out when I sew. I'm going to take my ruler and connect the line all the way down to the bottom hem with my white chalk. Okay, now that I have my pins and my chalk lines on both legs, the next step is basting stitch. Now we're going to run a basting stitch right up the white chalk lines on both legs, and it's so important to do that basting stitch first so that you can try them on and see if they fit right. And it also holds your denim in place when you put your final stitch in, so you don't get any puckering or bunching in your denim. Now I'm going to be going to my sewing machine. I am going to be using a denim needle, and I'm also purchased denim thread. You can get it at your local fabric store, and but it's called jean thread. So I'm going to go ahead and put a basting stitch right on that line. Let's try them on, see how they fit. If they don't fit, you can make adjustments from there. That's the nice thing about basting stitches, is they're easy to remove. So let's go ahead and do this next step. Okay, I have it on the sewing machine, and you can see I'm going to be coming in at an angle. I have my white chalk line just lined up right into the foot, and I've got it on a basting stitch. I am using black denim thread, but I do have white thread in my bobbin. I haven't switched that out yet, so I will be able to flip the jeans over and you'll be able to see what it is that I've done so far, because as you know, Whatever thread you have up here is going to show up on the top of where you stitch. Whatever thread you have down in your bobbin will show up on the bottom. So, okay, I'm going to try to do this one-handed since I'm trying out the camera today. Okay, I'm just going to do a quick basting stitch. You do not have to backstitch or fix when you're doing a basting stitch. Follow the white line all the way down. Normally, I don't like to sew over my pins, but since I'm sewing one-handed today, because my laptop just doesn't get close enough, so I'm going to have to sew over. That's one reason I had switched the pin to the other direction. Just follow your white line all the way down. Make sure everything's laying flat. Take it slow. Take it slow when you get over this bottom hem because there's a lot of fabric in there. So just go slow. We'll be cutting that off anyway because I'm hemming. Okay. Okay, so you can see how much I've taken in all the way down. And I like the way these fit much better because they're going to be skinny legged all the way down. Not skinny leg, but straight. I think they call them like cigar pants. You can see how much I'm taking off of the side. So I like the way they fit, and I still have to hem them. Look at how long they are. They are under my feet. So I will be hemming them last. But so I'm okay with this, so I'm going to go ahead and take it back to sewing machine and write down that my basting stitch. I'm going to stitch right over it with a denim thread, and I'm going to do my straight stitch right on top of my basting stitch. I'm not even going to take the basting stitch out because it's going to be on the inside anyway. So I'm going to go ahead and put my straight stitch all the way down. Okay. Now that I got my permanent stitch in, you can see it right there. Next, you're going to want to do, we're hemming last. So what we're going to do next is going to go ahead and just trim this a little bit. And you'll have I'm going to show you how to do the zigzag stitch to finish your edge so it won't fray, but I will be taking mine to the serger since I do have a serger. Okay, I just cut off a small section, a very small section, because like I said, I'm taking mine to the serger. But I want to show you on a sewing machine how to get the finished edge. So I trimmed off a little bit. You put it under your sewing machine. And I'm just going to do a small section for you so you can see what you could do to finish off your edges. Okay. I have the fabric just inside the outside of my foot, just on the inside, just a little bit, because I want my zigzag to go on the fabric, off the fabric, on the fabric, off the fabric. So I'm right on the edge of my fabric. And I've got it set to a zigzag stitch. And you'll want to back stitch, but I'm not going to because I'm going to be removing it. But you can back stitch. And you're just going to on and off, on and off. Adjust as you need to. Back stitch so you can see. Okay, so there I zigzagged my edge. Now if you want to make it stronger, go over it twice. Okay. Oops. Okay. You can zigzag over it twice for extra stability and less chance of fraying. Okay. Okay. So as you can see, it's not as nice and neat as a serger, but it's going to keep it from fraying. So I would go down your edges with a zigzag stitch and then go down it again. So do it twice. But like I said, I'm going to use the serger. But you can zigzag stitch your edge and that will keep it from fraying. It's not the prettiest, but I mean, it's functional. And if you want even more security, put fray check. Now that you've zigzagged it, put some fray check along your zigzag, and then you're definitely good to go. That'll be as strong as serging. So, okay, so I'm going to go ahead and take mine to the serger real quick and serge up my side to remove that excess material, and then we're going to go ahead and tackle the hem. I figured I may as well do this anyway, show you how to do the, me doing the serged edge in case you have a serger or you're thinking about purchasing a serger. Okay, I'm using a 4-thread overlock is what I'm using. And I got this has a blade right in here and your foot right here. So I got See, that's why people use sergers. It's cutting the fabric and sewing at the same time. Here's the benefit of having a serger. See how nice that edge is? Here's our straight line stitch right there, and then I just serge the edges. I mean, sergers are nice. I mean, that is a nice looking edge, very professional. But it's just they are expensive. If you can get a hold of a fairly, inexpensive one, they're worth having, but they're not necessary because I mean, you can do the zigzag stitch, and unless you're going to be doing a ton of jeans or making a ton of clothes from scratch, really you can do everything with a sewing machine. A serger is just that added bonus. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is I got to put these on and I got to decide how much length I'm going to take off. I know I'm taking at least 2 inches off the bottom of this length. So that is my next step. So I'm going to go ahead and put these right back on. Okay, so now we need to roll them up. I'm not going to be taking much off the length at all because I like mine a little long. Okay, make sure after you bend down, because it pulls your fabric up, keep adjusting and then stand up. I think that's the length I want it. I wear a lot of flip-flops, so I like my pants to be a little bit long at the bottom, so sometimes I do a little tiny roll at the bottom of my jeans. I want to be able to make sure I have enough length to do at least one roll. Okay. Do the other side. I'll add it. I just measure. So 2 3/4 inches. 2 3/4 inches. Okay, and I've got them rolled up the way I want them. Time to take them off. Okay, so I took the pants off, and I have my rolled hem, and I've made some markings. I want to show you what I did. First of all, I put pins in, because when I took the pants off, I didn't want them to come unfolded, so I put some pins in to hold them into place. And you're going to see 2 different kinds of markings. Now, the current, from the stitch line to the edge of the hem right here, that is a 1/2 inch hem. And I want the same thing. I'm going to repeat it, but I'm going to make it myself. So I want a 1/2 inch hem. So that means and a hem is a double rolled hem, which means each roll, a 1/2 and a 1/2 is a whole, or is 1 inch. So I measured down from the top of my fold up here. I measured down, and as you can see, I measured down 1 inch. And that's where I drew a line all the way around my pants, because that's where I'm going to be cutting. Now you're going to see these little polka dots. See those little dots that I made? There's one there, and I made them all the way around the pants. That is the 1/2 inch mark. Okay, so now I know all the way around. I've got it marked very well. Dots at the 1/2 inch mark and the line at the 1 inch mark. So I'm going to be cutting on the solid line. I'm going to cut off just this folded material, not the pants, just the folded material. I'm going to cut along my solid line, And then those little dots that we made, that's going to be our guide for folding our 1/2 inch hem allowance, or hem at the bottom of our pants. Okay, so I'm going to go cut. My scissors in there. Making sure not to cut your pant leg, just that rolled hem that we did. So slide your scissors in between before you actually shut your scissors and clip it shut. There we go. Okay, so I left a little bit of the line just so you can see what I'm doing. I can go ahead and take my pins out temporarily. Okay, now I'm going to fold this under so that our dot is right on the top. Just folding it, and then I'm going to fold it twice. Okay, see what I did? I just tucked my raw edge under so that the polka dot is right at the top, and then folded it again. And then put a pin in it to keep it in place. Okay, do it again. Got my raw edge, tucking it under, up to the polka dot, or the little dots that we made, tucked it under, so that the dot is right now on our edge. That guarantees us a 1/2 inch hem at the bottom of our pants all the way around, because we pre-marked it, pre-measured. Make sure to get to the side seams that you fold your side seams going in the same direction so you don't have all that extra bulk. And if your sewing machine has a difficult time sewing over denim, take this out to your driveway. Take it out to your driveway. Take a hammer and hammer that thick side seam. That will flatten it out enough that your sewing machine will be able to sew over it. If your sewing machine, maybe if you have an older sewing machine and it just, doesn't have a lot of power, you can take the jeans out to your driveway on cement with a hammer and hammer those very thick sections, and believe me, it makes a huge difference. Okay, almost done. Okay, now I got a 1/2 inch hem all the way around. I have denim thread, but it's not that it's just off just enough that it's going to look odd. So I am using black denim thread instead. If your leg will not fit on your extension here, then just open up your leg and sew from the inside like this. And then just keep moving it around. Now my legs are wide enough. So this is the easiest way to do it. Making sure side seams all match up. You don't want to start right on a side seam because the side seams are so thick. You want to start a little bit before it so that you can get it like a little running start. And most people like to top stitch this from the outside, but I want to make sure that I'm staying on my dot, everything's staying even. I want to be able to see from the back side, so I'm not top stitching. This first row, I'm doing it from underneath. And I'm getting close to my edge. Okay, fixed stitch, straight stitch. And my stitch length, I want to be 4.0. I'm changing my stitch length to be a 4.0 straight stitch. Okay, slow. Over the seams, very slow. Okay, and then we're just going to stitch right along the edge all the way around. Moving the pins as we go. Okay, and then I'm done. It's black material with black hem. You can't even see my stitching because I use black, but I still have my side stitching right there, but you can't really see my hem stitching. So I'm just going to do one more row. of stitching, and I'll show you how to do it from the way I told you. If your leg doesn't fit on because it's too small, I'm going to show you how to do it this way. Hope you'll be able to see it on the video. So I'm opening up my leg. I'm sticking my foot on the inside of the leg. Okay. And we're going to be just rolling the pants as we go. Okay, and you just keep opening, moving your opening. Okay, and then move your opening again. Just keep rotating it. And just keep rotating your leg until you're all the way around. So, a nice hem. 1/2 inch all the way around. Nice and neat. There's going to be no fraying. And you can't even see my stitches because I used the same color stitch as my denim. So, we are done. Now all I have to do is try these on and take some pictures. And that was pretty easy. I mean, extremely easy. So, I hope you liked it. I'll be right back. Well, I got the pants done, and look at how short they are. Yes, perfect, right to my heel. I'm going to go ahead and take some quick pictures and close up so you can see what the bottom of the legs turned out like. So you can see the before and you can see the after. I'm very happy with how it turned out. And using the black thread at the hem, it looks very professional because you don't see any of the stitching lines. So I'm very happy with how they turned out. So, well, this is Amy with Fashion Toppings. Until next time, you have a great day.